All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our program tonight. Thanks everyone for coming to the museum on a Friday night. Tonight's program, we're really excited. With that, I'm going to introduce Rad Jones, who's going to introduce his wife. So let's give it up for Rad Jones. Thanks, Rad.
Thank you, Pat. It's been quite a long haul for Nancy to come and speak to you because she's a very modest person. We've been married 63 years, and not very often when we're out. Thank you. Where she'll talk about her skating, and she'll have friends that she's known for 20 years or so, and all of a sudden they say, "I didn't know you were a skater," and "Oh, yes, I was," and she'll talk about it. But Nancy's going to give her life story around skating, but I want you to think back to the 1950s when people like Nancy and the other skaters, they didn't get paid for that. Everything was either by a club they belonged to or fundraisers, or it was, and the training was done on their own. And where now a skater that does a world team tour will get $250,000 to $300,000, and Nancy was just born a little too soon for that. But also the Heiss family, and she's going to talk about her family. It really was an amazing family, and this was before television. Carol, I think when she won the Olympics in '60 was the first time that the Olympics were televised. But here you had two ladies in the family and a man, brothers and sisters, who were nationally known and world skaters, unknown. And so, as she'll show you tonight, there was a lot of publicity surrounding it, Look magazine, Life magazine, and all like that. So it was very unusual. And I think to myself, if that would have been in the day of television, it would have been like, you know, the McGuire sisters and a lot of the family that you hear about and of today. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy, and she'll give you her life story in skating.
Thank you, Pat, for inviting me, and thank you all for coming. This is about my life in competitive figure skating. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in Ozone Park, Queens. And this map will show you how it is related to New York City, how far away. We were very close where we lived, about 20 minutes away from what was called Ottawa Airport then. It's now the RFK Kennedy Airport. My dad was a baker, and my mom was a textile designer, and both came over from Germany and came through Ellis Island. And they came over when Hitler was in power, and they left Germany then. This is a picture of my parents on their wedding day. They were married in 1936, and that's a picture of my mom on the left. And that's a picture of my dad. He worked at J.D. Bakery in Kew Gardens, New York, which was one of the better bakeries owned by two Jewish men, and he was specialized in cake decorating. He was showing pictures of my sister. She was already a world champion several years in a row, and so papers was covering her a lot, and he was showing an article. The press came to the bakery to see him there. And on the left, that's a picture of my brother Bruce. He's 22 months younger than me. My sister's 22 months older. We're exactly 22 months apart, all three of us. And then a picture of us on the right with my mom and dad. And the sweaters that my brother, sister, and I have on, my mother knitted. She was an avid knitter and sewer, and she made a lot of our skating costumes too. This is the picture, another picture of the three of us taken in our backyard. And that's a picture of my brother at Rockefeller Center on the left, and my sister and I skating pairs. My sister and I skated pairs for several years until we could no longer compete because there weren't any competition for two girls skating together. And we were raised Catholic. I'm now Episcopal, but this is a picture of me doing my Holy Communion in the Catholic Church, and then a picture of me doing a split on the right-hand side. And this is a recent picture of my brother, sister, and I taken at my nephew's wedding in California. And that's me on the left doing it would be a simple jump. was the easier jump to do. And then pictures of my sister and I on the right, and we were already being covered in the papers quite a bit then. We started skating because we had a lot of energy, and my parents, we were driving them a little crazy because we had too much energy, so they took us to the skating rink to a public session to skate, and the guard there told my mom that he thought we had some natural talent. So he said, you really should join a skating club. So we joined the skating club in New York and took from Andre and Pierre Bernet, French skaters. They won Olympics skating pairs for representing France in 1928 and 1932. And then they refused and protest against Nazi Germany. They didn't go to the Olympics in 1936. And that's a picture of them on the right there skating. The lift they're doing on the left, they actually invented. It was called the Brunet lift. And then the one on the right is called the death spiral spin that they do and still do today as pairs. But now the woman gets way down on the ice with her head, and she actually touches the ice with her head. And this is them with skating together outdoors. The competitions were held outdoors then. And if you notice, the ladies have black boots too. They wore those for years in the older days, and then they started developing white boots for the women to skate with, which was nice. This is a picture of my skating teacher, Pierre Bernet, and that was Mr. Bernet with my sister and I, and every year we went to his cottage up in Boyne City, Michigan, and on Lake Charlevoix. And every year we would buy jeans for like $5, Levi's, and new shirts. We always look forward to our days up there. He was like a father to us. He had one son who was killed in an auto accident up in Michigan. He was driving too fast on a gravel road and he broke his neck. And after that, Mr. Bernet kind of adopted us as his children, so he was like a second father to us. He invented two machines. One was called the figure skating 8 tracing machine, and the other was called a spread eagle machine. And this is a photo of the figure 8 machine, which he invented. He should have patented it because somebody took the credit for it later and patented it. And it used to trace, because we used to do figure 8s in those days. He invented that, and we used to use that to trace our figure 8s on the ice, which helped us a lot to trace our figure 8s after that. We had to trace 6 times. And this is the spread eagle machine that he invented that was taken up at his cabin in Boyne City. And we used to be in that maybe 20, 30 minutes a day to get, because we were not limber, and that got us limber for doing the spread eagle. That helped us a lot. Yeah, it sounds awful, but it really did help us do the spread eagle. And this is Mr. Bernet. He was on the ice demonstrating some figure 8s at the MSU ice arena. Mr. Bernet got the highest medal, the French Legion Medal of Honor, and this is a picture of that. And this is a picture of him on the left. He was an avid smoker. He smoked cigarettes all the time and cigars, and he did live till 93, believe it or not. And this is a photo of me the last time I saw him when he was dying of Parkinson's disease. And he has his medal on there. And this is a picture of my sister and I with another skater who skated for our skating club in New York, Sonia Kluffer, who was in competition for quite a few years. And you could tell the difference in ages. We competed against women that were her size when we were little. And we skated at Woman Memorial Rink in Central Park, New York, and that's a picture of the rink there. And President Trump had a lot to do with donating a lot of money to renovate that rink and park, because it was disintegrating after years, and now it's in good shape. And this is a picture of the skating sweaters that my mom knitted for us that I told you about. And we skated, I skated with my brother and sister doing trios, and we did a Chinese number, and this was a picture of us in our Chinese outfits. And then my mother made the outfits that we have on here, my sister and I, and then my brother was in the middle. I don't know what outfit he had on, I forget, but he looks like he's trying to be a girl or something. I don't know, it doesn't look right. And this is when my sister and I skated pairs. We were doing a spin together on the left, and on the right, that's actually the Mr. Bernay's lift, the Bernay lift that we did. And we had outfits on there that we had professionally made that year. And this is actually a lift that my sister and I invented. It's called the spread eagle lift. And we did that for years until I got taller than my sister and she could no longer lift me. So we stopped skating together. And there wasn't anything for women skaters together then, like there is for the pairs. I entered my first competition when I was 8 years old. I started skating at 5 and then skated until I was 19 years old, about 11 years. And this is a picture of me doing a slide. That's how we stopped. We had to turn our skate to stop, to come to a standstill. And this is the ages we were when we were already competing at that age. And these two girls also skated for the Skating Club in New York. And they were at the senior level at that age. And this is a picture of Mr. Hartshorn. He was a member of our club and did a lot for skating, and that's my sister and I when we won a Middle Atlantic competition. And Mr. Hartshorn was one of the people on the plane crash that happened in 1961. There were a lot of people on there that I knew. This was taken in by the New York Times. They were covering us a lot because my sister was winning worlds 5 years in a row, and this is when my sister won Middle Atlantic Senior and I won Middle Atlantic Junior. You got beautiful trophies, and that was my brother taking a picture of me, but you didn't get to keep them because they were quite expensive. So they put your name on it, and after it got filled up with all the names, they donated to the Figure Skating Hall of Fame in Colorado Springs. And you would get maybe a bowl like I had there. You got to keep that, and you got some medals to keep. This is a picture of the National Junior trophy, and that's out at the Figure Skating Hall of Fame. I won that back in 1953. And this was for the Easton senior ladies. That was the trophies for there. The one on the right actually had a Waterford-based glass base, which was beautiful. And both of those trophies are out in the Figure Skating Hall of Fame, too. Oh, and there's also 3 different divisions. We have competition, Eastern competition, the Eastern States, and you have Midwest and some Midwest. And then you have Pacific Coast out in the Pacific Coast. And then the top 3 or 4 usually go to nationals, and they compete against each other. And then the top 3 in nationals make the world team. And the ones who make the world team, that's also the Olympic team. When they qualify that year, they also go to the Olympics every 4 years. And this was my brother taking a picture. When I won the Middle Atlantic Senior Trophy, they gave you a dozen roses, which was great. And this is a picture of Tenley Albright. She's still living today. She knew a lot of people on the plane crash that just happened in D.C., and she represented the Skating Club of Boston. And she won National Senior Ladies. I won National Junior that year. And the girl on the left, Carol Wanick, also took from my skating coach. She won National Novice. And this was a picture of the bowl that they would let you keep that. Sometimes the Skating Club of New York would donate that because you had to turn your trophy in after a year. And that was the junior ladies in 1955. This is a picture of the National Junior Champ Trophy. And that's taken out at the Figure Skating Hall of Fame. And if you're ever out in Colorado Springs, it's worth it to go there. I think you'd enjoy seeing all the information about the skaters there. And this was us when we skated trio. We were doing the spread eagle, which that machine helped us do on the left, and then just doing edges on the right. And this is a picture of my brother, Bruce, and my sister, Carol, when we skated exhibitions in the Lansing Figure Skating Club in the summer. We trained there in the summer because we realized when we weren't training in the summer that our competitors were improving in the summer. So we realized we had to start training in the summer. So we spent 2 months up at East Lansing skating at the old MSU ice arena. And my skating teacher was teaching up there. Our primary place for training was the old Madison Square Garden that was on the 4th floor in New York City. And we used to skate from 6 days a week from 7 to 11. And then after we got off the ice, the Rangers used to go on the ice and practice. And they used to go out and make fun of us. They did spirals with their leg in the air and tried to do spins. And then they'd smile, and they all had no teeth. Because in those days, they didn't have any equipment to protect so they all had lost it. And then they'd have argument who had the most stitches in the head, too. Some had 100 stitches in the head from playing hockey. And this is also where Dick Button practiced sometimes. And one time he was a very high jumper. He was jumping and doing an axel, and he hit his head on the bottom of the restaurant there. The restaurant actually came over the ice surface. So when he jumped up high, his head hit the bottom, but he was all right after that. And he recently died. In fact, he died the morning after the plane crash in D.C. He was 95. Our routine was very rigid. We were up every day at 6 days a week at 5:30 in the morning, had breakfast. My mom would drive us to the rink at 6:15, and we'd get to the rink about 7. We'd skate from 7 to 11 at the old Madison Square Garden. And she was a textile designer, so she would bring a big board and do her textiling like she did at the left there at the rink. And then the other one was she had on the porch at our home. She also had an artist's desk out there, and she did her drawing out there. It was very hard getting up at 5:30 every morning, knowing everybody was sleeping. When I get to the rink, just as soon as the light came up, it was 7 o'clock, I felt better because I knew everybody else was starting to get up in the city, so it made me feel good. A lot of times, we started out going to Catholic school for a couple of years, but they wouldn't let us off for skating time. So we switched to public school, 108, but they wouldn't let us take off for skating either. But until when we were still going to public school, my mom had to drive us all the way from New York City to Queens, New York. And one time she was speeding. She got stopped by a police officer, and we had no time to change at the rink, so we were changing under a blanket in the back seat. And he saw movement back there. He said, "What's going on in the back seat under those blankets?" And she told him, "My 3 kids are coming from skating and changing in their school clothes." And then she started to cry. And so she got out of a ticket somehow that time. I don't know how she did it. I think the crying helped. And my mother, unfortunately, died when she was 40 years old of colon cancer. So after that, my dad would take us to the train station in Kew Gardens, and we'd travel on the subway for 40 minutes to go to the Madison Square Garden train. We switched to professional children's school to get the time off, which was an excellent school. We went there, usually it was from 9:45 to 2:15, but we didn't get there till 11. Had lunch, had 2 classes, and then went home. But it was very, very good school for preparing you for college. It was an excellent school. It's still there today. A lot of celebrities went there, as you can see: Helen Hayes, Milton Berle, Peanut Schultz, Vera Wang, the well-known designer now, and Sandra Dee, the original Gidget, was in my class. I went there from 7th grade until senior year in high school, and then our whole school from kindergarten to senior year in high school, we only had 400 students. So it was, in my senior class, there were all of 12. And the original fellow that played in The King and I, the son of Yul Brynner, was in my brother's class. He was a year behind me. To prepare for Olympics, it was held outdoors in the 50s, and so we used to go up to Norwalk, Connecticut to skate in an outdoor rink. My skating teacher used to let us sleep for a couple hours, and he'd wake us up at midnight, and we actually trained outdoors midnight to 1 in the outdoor cold. It was very cold up there, but you had to do that if you wanted to be able to compete at world level, because the worlds were held outdoors at that time. The women skate a free skating program that's 4 minutes long, and the men skated 5 minutes long in those days. And to prepare for, we had, in Colorado Springs, we had 2 worlds in 1957 and 59. And in order to compare for that, because they're high altitude, you had to go through your number twice in a row to be in shape to make it through out there, or you would skate well. My brother did do that the year he was out there, and he made it through his program, but was exhausted, and then he passed out after it and had to be given oxygen. And actually, that saved his life because he missed making the world team, which was the team on the plane that crashed in 1961. We did a lot of other things to help with our skating, and we took piano playing, ballet, tap, jazz. And then we took this stretching class with my mom, signed us up for, but we didn't take that too long because he used to have us lay down our stomach, take our head and bend it back to our knees, and we were not limber people. And he broke the blood vessels in my sister's eyes, so after that, we quit doing that. And we took fencing up at MSU, too, to help with balance in skating. And this is a picture of Mr. Klotz. He was president of our figure skating club, New York Skating Club. And they had a patch, which is the insignia to represent the New York Figure Skating Club, which we put on our jackets or wear on our skating outfits also. This cover was designed by my mom. We used to skate at the skating club in New York. Before we went to competition, the skating club in New York wanted to see our competitive number before we went to skating competition. And so we would skate an exhibition for them, and then they would invite us in, we'd dress up, and we'd go to tea there. And then they would give us a nice charm bracelet, and for each time you were on the world team, they gave you a charm, which I have the charm bracelet laying on the table there. And we were all in the skating club in New York. This was our other training place. This was at MSU, the old ice arena at MSU. We used to rent a house and stay up there, and we skated there numerous summers to train for the competition. This is a copy of the Silver Blades program that was for the exhibitions numbers that we skated there to cover that show, and that was me taking a back edge. And this is pictures with a sketch of Mr. Bernice Cottage on Lake Charlevoix in Boise. It's still there, and somebody made a sketch of it on the right. And this is a picture of us doing Shoot the Duck. My sister and brother and I did a trio. Nobody was doing trios then. And we were at MSU in the performance there in the skating show, and we told them we want to go through the curtain on one side, and if you could clear out the back and come out the other side of the curtain to, add a little to our number. So we said, just be sure you clear out behind the curtain. Well, they forgot to do that. We came through the curtain and we hit all these boxes, but fortunately they weren't that hard of boxes. We didn't hurt ourselves, came out the other side, which we were able to continue doing our program. And this is, then you had 8 tests to pass. The last test with the 8 tests, and you considered a gold medal test winner when you did that. And this was a stag jump taken at Rockefeller Center. Yes, you had to pass the 8 tests to make it to Worlds or Olympics, and to qualify for senior level ladies. And this is when figures were worth 60% for us, and then the free skating number was only worth 40. So you really had to have good figure eights, and we did, and you would come out better with that. Now it's, you do a short program, I think that's worth 40, and I think the free skating program, the second one's worth 60. So it's totally different. They don't do figure eights anymore in competitions or anything. And this is a picture of the blade, how it looks. We pretty much skated on the rocker part of the blade, and then we were spinning on the front part of the blade, and then we had toe picks then, and you needed that to do your jumps, because the toe, when you put the toe in the ice, that gives you the leverage to get your height on the jumps. Now their toe picks are much bigger because they're doing triples and quads. And in order to get yourself spinning in a spin, you would take your leg and have it come down your leg, and then you also take your arms and pull them in. And when you pulled them down like this, it would make you turn in a spin. That was one of my favorite things to do, spin. And this is a picture of the blade. The blade is like 1/8 inch wide. It's not that wide. It's actually a little hollow in the middle. And then we have an inside edge and an outside edge. That's what we did the figures on. And that's what you skate your free skating program on too. The inside's on the inside of your foot, and the outside edge is on the outside of your foot. This is what when I was doing a spin. And this is back inside edge. See how I'm leaning? I'm on the inside edge there. And this is a picture of my sister when she was practicing outdoors in Europe for the Worlds, and a photo of a skating teacher, Mr. Burney, watching her when she was practicing. And on the right, it's my brother Bruce and I practicing our figure eights at a rink. This is a picture of Tenley Albright. She was big rivals with my sister. She was about 3 or 4 years older. And they used to compete each other. Tenley was always in first, my sister in second, until my sister defeated her at one of the World's Champions. That was a big upset, and then Tenley retired after that. Here she's doing her figure eights at Worlds. And this shows how the ice was. It was crystal clear when we skated our figure eights, so the judges could judge our figure eights. We had 6 tracings we did on our figure eights, and we usually had 9 and 11 judges at Worlds or Olympics, and that's still true today. A lot of times the judges would get down on their hands and knees to judge that you didn't have a flat edge, and you would get marked off if you did. And this is a chart of all the figure eights we did. We did loops, brackets, counters, rockers, double threes, loop, change loop. So we had about 6 different figure eights to do. And you had to trace them 6 times and in each figure eight. And this is a picture of a skater skating it. And you can see he doesn't have his tracings real close. Down here in the bottom, the tracings are separated. He probably would have been marked down for that. They should be on top of each other. Well, when I was at my first Worlds in Colorado Springs, it was a disaster for me in the figures. I skated really well until the last figure eight, which was a factor 5, and a lot of points were gained on that. And like I said, the figure eights are worth 60%. I traced my figure eight so well, and I thought that was great on the 6th tracing, but I actually made a rut. I got my skate, my blade caught in the rut, and I had to come to a complete stop, which right there I dropped a whole point, which is a lot. So I dropped from 8th to 11th. And then in the free skating, I thought I have nothing to lose, you know, and I skated well and pulled myself up to 8th place. And that was at the world competition, which is a major competition. And compete at the world level, you have to be very structured and be willing to practice and give up a lot because you're spending a lot of time at the rink. I didn't date hardly at all, if any, in high school until I got to college. And you have to have a very good coach. You have to have good supportive parents, and you have to have good support financially because it's a very expensive sport. And our time, the skating club in New York had a lot of well-to-do people in there, and they donated money to send it to Worlds and Olympics, and that helped my dad a lot because he had 3 of us in skating, which was very expensive. But today they have sponsors, so you could have not a lot of money, and if you have a talented daughter or son and they want to figure skate, you could join a skating club and you could get a sponsor, and they would help you make it to the higher level. And it was very important. The judges look at everything. They still do. You have to have super clean skates, a very good-looking outfit. Your nails should be good, not chipped off nail polish. Your hair should be good, and plus your skating be good. But they also look at how you look. They sort of influence it to judge that way if 2 people are close in representing. And we represented the United States, which was an honor. We always felt we wanted to look good and skate well to represent the United States. Every year, the United Hospital Fund had a fundraiser, and we were asked to skate. We did that at Rockefeller Center. You can see we were 8 and 10 years old when we started doing that. Most of the skaters were older, but we enjoyed doing that because it supported a good cause. This was when we were skating at the United Hospital Fund in sailor outfits we had made that year, and that was held at Rockefeller Center. And we were on the Today Show, which was called the Dave Garroway Show. People that are old enough to remember. It was on NBC, and he had a monkey on with him called Muggsy. We used to enjoy seeing him. We always shook Muggsy's hand. And one year he wasn't there. And we said, what happened to Muggsy? And they said, well, Muggsy bit Dave Garroway. So Muggsy was no longer there after that. I guess when monkeys get older, they sometimes get a little mean. The limousine used to come and pick us up at 4 a.m. and take us to the rink the day we did that. And then we used to have to skate 3 times because there was the East Coast, we had to skate at 7 a.m. Then we skated at 8 a.m. to do the Midwest, and then 9 a.m. to do the Pacific Coast. So, and in between, because it was cold at the rink there at Rockefeller Center was low. You would think it wouldn't be windy. It was very windy and very cold. And we used to have hot chocolate in between, which was a treat from them. This was also taken at Rockefeller Center when we were doing a split jump, and this little girl was there skating. She was so cute. And there was somebody there from the press, and they wanted to take a picture of her looking at us do the stag jump at Rockefeller Center. And this was my sister and I doing split jumps. And this was the spread eagle, the machine that Mr. Rennie made. That was the spread eagle there. We also we were Catholic, raised Catholic, but we were invited to Grossinger's, a very well-known Jewish resort in those days. And they would have us up there to train for a week. And that was an outdoor rink, which was good training for us, and no charge. And when you were up there during Christmas, and they knew we were Catholic and celebrated Christmas, and they brought us a Christmas tree decorated to our room, which we thought the world of. And it's very big, and it's in the Catskills. It's very pretty, but it's since been torn down, which is sad, several years ago. Yes, we did exhibition up there, but then the USFSA found out about it, didn't like the idea of a skating exhibition, because in those days you couldn't do that without it being okayed. But it worked out real good because they had a public session, and then they put on a music and we skated anyway, and everybody cleared the ice to watch us. So they get their exhibition anyway. So it turned out all right. A lot of famous people went up there. Eddie Fisher was one of the people that went up there. Milton Berle was up there too. And then Rocky Graciano, who was the world boxing champion those years, was up there training, and they actually had a whole hangar built for him to train in. They treated you very well up there. And this is where the skating rink was located. As you can see, it was quite a big complex. This was taken at no, that was Grossinger's, I guess, yeah, with my sister doing Spiral together. And this was taking outdoors, and that was my skating teacher on the right, Mr. Bernay, my mom, and my brother, Bruce, Carol, and I. And the man on the left with the hat was Irving Jaffe. He was retired from speed skating. He actually was the world speed skating champion for the USA. Every year we got invited to West Point, and they would come with an Army truck to pick us up at 7 o'clock, and it was from the Skating Club of New York. We were all from there skating an exhibition for them. And they'd have us stay overnight at the Thayer Hotel, and then they'd have us go to a tea. And they had a cadet escort for all of us. Well, the first year we were up there, my sister and I had an escort. He was like they were 18 years old, but they thought we were about 17. We actually were 8 and 10. This is what age they were. They were really disappointed. But we started laughing about it, and they gave us a charm bracelet. Henry was his name, I remember. How could that? But that was a lot of fun. As we got older, we enjoyed it better. And Dartmouth Winter Carnival, we skated there numerous years. And then in 1960, they notified me at MSU I'd started college as a freshman and wanted me to skate an exhibition there, so I decided I would. But the day I was supposed to take the plane from East Lansing to Detroit, there was a major blizzard. So our plane was canceled, and this man heard these other 3 girls and I saying we need to get to Detroit to catch our plane. And he heard me say I was going to Dartmouth. And he says, oh, I graduated from there. He's 29 years old and said he graduated from there. And so he said, well, I'm renting a car. He said, I can drive all you gals to the airport in Detroit. So the next thing, I'm getting in the car, and he's driving off, and I look, and the girls aren't in the back seat. I said, what happened to the other 3 girls? He said, oh, they decided not to go. And I thought, oh, my gosh. Here I am at a blizzard with a 29-year-old man. I don't even know him. I was 17 or 18, and I thought, my dad's going to kill me if he ever finds this out. So I thought, well, he'll never find out. So anyway, he got me to the airport. I got on the flight. It was really rushed. I got picked up with a police escort to get me to because we were running late. I literally had to change my clothes in the car. I had to put my figure skates, boots on in the car. Didn't have time to practice or anything. It really wasn't a rink. It was a frozen area outside, very cold. I'm talking like minus 25. And it was getting dark. They had no lights. And so they had spotlights, which we could not see in spotlights. So when I went out to skate out there on the ice, I really was blinded. I didn't know where the end of the ice surface was. It turned out to be it was a snowbank. I went over the snowbank, fell down the snowbank, and then some lady yelled, oh, she's hurt. And I started laughing because I wasn't hurt. I climbed up the snowbank, waved my arms, my music was still playing, and then they put the spotlights on, and then I finished skating. And you can see it was an area like this with a snowbank on the sides of it. So it, that was the last time I went there. And then my dad got in the mail. He called me up, and he said, when I was home the next time, he said, what is this? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I got this article, and what happened was the 29-year-old man that drove me to the airport told Dartmouth how he got me to the airport on time to make this exhibition, or I wouldn't have made it because of the blizzard in East Lansing, because my flight was canceled from there. And he told them the story, and they put it in the newspaper. So Dartmouth sent the copy of the newspaper to my dad, because my dad read this, and I thought then I had to explain what happened, because I hadn't told him about it. And this was Carol and I when we were dressed, ready to go to world competition. And we also trained, skated competitions out at the Broadmoor Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel. It's still out there now. 5-star. They've since added a building to that hotel. And we had the Worlds out there in 1957 and 59. And because of the altitude out there, you did, like I mentioned before, you had to skate twice to make it through out there. This was on the way to a national competition. My brother was at the national level too, and we were all headed to a national championship. This is before my sister was headed to the Worlds in Switzerland. I wasn't on the world team yet, but I had won national juniors, ladies, and she won national seniors, and the seniors go. This was on the plane. Before we boarded the plane, we were all from the Skating Club of New York. The girl on the right is Carol Wanek, and I'm on the left, and then my sister's above me. And we were all on the world team representing USA in Paris, France. And the fellow behind my sister is Don Jackson, who won Worlds in 1962 after the plane crash, and he was representing Canada. But he did take from our skating teacher. That's why he was on the same plane as Mr. Bernay and us, and that was in 1958. That was the exciting thing about skating. When you went to Europe to have the Worlds over there in Paris or any country over there, you had a skate exhibition tour for a month, which we did. And that's the reason we had to go to professional student school. We needed a month off from school. But I did do a lot of homework. I had all my assignments with me when I was there, and that's why professional student school is called a correspondence school. I sent all my homework through the mail during the month I was over there. Because when I came back, some of the teachers told me I missed about 8 tests, but then they felt sorry for me and they only made me take 1 or 2. We went to a lot of good places, England, Germany, Czechoslovakia, like I said, over there. One trip, I missed going to Budapest because in those days it was the Iron Curtain, and my visa didn't come, so I couldn't go to Budapest, but I did make it to Prague, Czechoslovakia, behind the Iron Curtain. My sister didn't make it because she was in college and she had exams that week, so she missed going. We couldn't accept money then because we were, really amateurs, which they're no longer like that now, they're professionals. they can accept money, and they do get paid for exhibitions even. But a lady would take you out in the country you were in, and you could pick out, she'd tell you how much money you had and what you could buy. And my sister bought a muskrat coat, and I bought a mouton coat. I bought glass works in Czechoslovakia, they're known for that, and then clocks in Switzerland, and cameras in Germany. So we got gifts. We didn't get cash, and you were allowed to do that. One tour in Czechoslovakia, we were in Prague. Andre Brunet was my chaperone. We were rooming together, and she went down to breakfast early at 7. And because we were up late that night with the exhibition tour, she told me to sleep in. So I did. And you know how sometimes you're sleeping and you feel somebody staring at you? So I opened my eyes, and there was a man standing there, tall man with a trench coat on and a hat. And I said, what are you doing here? And he made out he didn't speak English. He had a pad and he had a pen, and he made out he wanted my autograph, so I signed my autograph, and then he left. How he got in the room, I don't know, because the door was locked. And it was, you know, the Iron Curtain was out then, so I don't know whether he was fishing around the room and thought Andre maybe was a spy. I don't know. And we did have time to relax in between and after competitions and in between exhibitions. And the man in the center there got us tickets to go to the opera in Paris. And Mr. Brunet was quite a celebrity because he won Olympics for France twice. And when we did go to the opera, of the 5 of us, I was the only one that stayed awake. They all fell asleep at the opera. And this is Don Jackson, who I said took from our coach, although he represented Canada. He was a very good dancer. We also took dance tests then, and there were gold. You passed your last dance test, and that was considered a gold test medal. And he was very good at dancing, so I had him take me through my dances. So did my sister. This was when the press came to our house. They wanted to take some pictures of some of our skating outfits that we practiced in on the left, and then we were getting ready to pack to go on to a competition. Look magazine came to our house once. That was after my mom died, and my sister and I helped my dad cook, although my dad was an excellent cook. We didn't really help him that much, but they wanted a picture to show that we did help him at times. This was in the New York Mirror. When my sister and I were competing against each other, they made a big rivalry of that, and so they would put that in the papers and write articles on the rivalry between my sister and I. And actually, my sister just competed against each other, but we loved each other. They made the best girl win. Sports Illustrated took this picture. This was taken outdoors at the Woman Memorial Rink in Central Park, New York, which is still there today. And this was Sports Illustrated. They wanted to do an article to show that female athletes in any sport could not only be athletic, but they could also be feminine looking. So they took my sister and I, took all our makeup off, put all their makeup on, put the hair the way they wanted, and they gave us those dresses. And this is the picture that was in the Sports Illustrated, my sister and I. There used to be a little magazine called Child Life, and they called me one day and wanted to do an article on my experience in skating and what my life was like in training and all that. This was Carl Levine. He recently died the last year or two. He represented Czechoslovakia. He was the Czechoslovakia world champion in 1959, 58, and 60. And he called me one day and said that he's coming to New York to skate an exhibition in between the hockey games. The Czech hockey team was going to be playing the New York Rangers. And he said he would be coming into, was then Ottawa Airport, it's now JF Kennedy Airport. And he knew I lived close to there, so my dad drove me to the airport. It was 20 minutes away. And I went to meet him there and talked to him and spent some time with him. And there must have been somebody from the press there. And this was not a picture of us taken together. I don't know where they got those pictures from. They were separate. And they had an article in the paper. My skating coach next day at the rink, he said, "What is this, Nancy?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, there's an article in the paper that you and Carl Levine are engaged." I said, "What?" I said, "We're not engaged. All I did was see him off at the airport, say hello to him." We were 18 and 22 at the time. This was on top of the Parade magazine. Oh, I keep touching that, I think. That's me doing that. Sorry. This was doing stag jump. My leg should be up further, actually. That's a perfect stag jump that my sister's doing. My sister and my brother's doing is sit spin. He actually stood still to do that, because if you would have been spinning, they wouldn't have been able to get us in the air the same time he was spinning. And same thing there. I wasn't really spinning. I just put my leg up. My sister's doing a split jump behind me. And this is the three of us skating together. We did a stop on the left. That's how you would stop on the ice. And then we were doing a stag jump on the right. And this is a picture of me in a costume before skating exhibition at the Lansing Skating Club in East Lansing. And that was me doing a back outside edge. And that's the spread eagle, that the machine that Mr. Renee made that helped us do that on the left. And this man was an elderly man. He used to always come to the rink with a hat on and a cane and skated. And then we used to do exhibition numbers, and this was one number I did with, it was the Charleston, and I had a Charleston outfit made to perform in that. And then one time at East Lansing for the summer session, I was doing a ballet-type number, and this woman made me a costume for that. We never used to have her make costumes, but she made it with too many crenolines. And I told her right away she needed to take some of the crenolines out. I wasn't going to be able, because it came up high like a ballet dancer's thing, and I said, no, I wouldn't be able to do jumps in that. So I ran off the ice without guards on. That was a mistake. I hit some rubber mat, slipped, and touched my blades on the concrete, and I had to go out and skate. I went out and skated. I fell 5 times because I didn't have an edge on my blades, and the shame was that was the first time Rad saw me skate. His mother, my future mother-in-law, saw me skate, and my 2 roommates saw me skate. They never let me forget how I skated at that time. And then in the second half, I had to skate in the program the second half, and I found out there was a man there that sharpened hockey skates. So I was desperate. I said, could you sharpen my skates, even though hockey skates are different from figure skates? And he did enough so I could have an edge. So I could skate in the second part, and I skated pretty well then. My sister was called to be on the Person-to-Person show with Edward R. Murrow, and they came out to the house and interviewed Carol, and then went through the house. And Edward R. Murrow was an avid smoker. In fact, I think that's what he died of the end, but you could see he has a cigarette there, and his fingers, he took us to lunch, his fingers were all yellow from smoking so much. He always had a cigarette in his hand. And before the 1960 Olympics, I landed up landing a jump, a double axel. I landed the jump all right, but it was a freak accident. I landed sitting on my ankle, and I heard my ankle crack. I knew I broke it. I actually went out and skated for 5 minutes, but then realized my ankle wasn't good. So I was out of competition for that year. That was the year that the Nationals, that team went to Worlds. And so that was the same year Olympics, and I missed Olympics that year. This is me recovering at home with my broken ankle. And my sister felt sorry for me, and that was our dog Chipper at home, our first dog. And this is a picture of the skating team that was on the 1960 plane crash. It actually, everybody on that plane was killed. I knew everybody on that plane. And that was the plane that my brother and I would have been on if I hadn't broken my ankle and decided to concentrate in college. And my brother didn't make the team, and that saved his life. This is a lot of skaters that were on that plane were from the Broadmoor Figure Skating Club. And they have this tribute to them out in Colorado Springs, right by the lake, and the old rink used to be there. And all the names that were on the plane crash from there were on that skate. That was made out of granite. It was beautiful. And then they used to give us, when you were the world team, patches to have, and I had these framed because they used to give us 2 sets. I had patches on my jacket that I had at MSU, and had it in my closet, my room. And we did have locked rooms, but to this day, I don't know what happened to it. Somebody took it. I never saw it again. So I had the other set framed. And this is some of the titles that I won in 57, 58, 59. And the highest I went was 6 in worlds in 1959. And this was one of the patches they gave us. We would sew it onto our outfits that we trained in. And then in place of the trophies, because you had to turn them in, they would give you medals. So we usually have a lot of medals at home, or wood plaques with your name on it, or what year and what you won that year. And these are some of the medals I won over the years. Competitive figure skating is, like I said, you really have to be dedicated and disciplined, and really, we did meet a lot of wonderful, interested people, had a lot of good travel, and had numerous opportunities. But you have to have a lot of good coaching behind you and good parents, and be willing to work too and practice. And I want to remind you, the World Figure Skating Competition is next week from Wednesday to Saturday. And then Sunday, they're going to have a wonderful exhibition skaters skating in tribute to the people, the skaters that lost their lives in the DC plane crash. My sister and her husband have already seen it, and they said it's a wonderful, wonderful skating show. Life after skating, yeah, after I broke my ankle, like I said, I decided to concentrate in college. I went to MSU on a scholarship, and in 1963, I married Rad Jones, and we had our honeymoon in Cape Cod for 3 months, because Rad was on the President Kennedy's Secret Service detail. And we have 3 children, a son and 2 daughters, and 4 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. And this is a picture of Hayes, my sister's husband, my brother-in-law. He won the Olympics in 1956. His brother won the Olympic gold medal in 1960, the year my sister won the gold medal for the women. So they have 3 gold medals among their family, which is unheard of now. And this is a recent picture of my brother-in-law Hayes and my sister Carol. And this is a recent picture of my sister Carol and I at her house. And this is a recent picture of Hayes, Carol, and I in their driveway. And this is a picture of the coat I brought today. That's the Olympic coat that my sister wore in 1956 for the Olympics in Italy. She won the silver medal that year, and she felt bad that I couldn't make it to the Olympics in 1960, so she gave me that coat to keep. And this is a picture of the charm bracelet I have on the table there that the Skating Club in New York would give us. And for each year you won the world team, they gave you a little charm. And this is a photo of the hat. I brought that. We used to all have Tyrolean hats, and we exchanged pins. I think they might still do that. And we were given so many USA pins, and so we would exchange the USA pin for the Chinese pin and the Russian pin, which we would all put on our hats then. And that was a fun thing to do. Oh, the Russian skaters used to come in, and it was very intimidating. You're talking the 1950s, and all the officials would have mink hats. All the skaters would have their mink coats or hats, and they would come into the rink like that, which was very intimidating to us because we didn't have anything made of mink on us. I brought a copy of Indelible Tracings written by a former skater, Pat Bushman, and I recommend that for reading, and also the one on the history of figure skating. And you wouldn't go wrong in reading any book by Scott Hamilton is excellent, and any book by Dick Button too is excellent to read. Now, do you have any questions? Oh, thank you, Jen. Yeah, we picked out our own music. My skating teacher used to put pieces of music together, and then he'd make that in a record, and we'd play records then. And then my skating teacher would help us with the choreography. Yeah, now they have numerous coaches. They have help with the mental part of it too, which we never had any of that. And they also have things to help them off the ice, to help them with their jumps, which does help them. We didn't have any of that stuff. But
She still dances around the kitchen.
oh yes,
I'll be eating breakfast and she'll come in and do a jump or something. And Not hit my cereal bowl, luckily.
Hi, yeah. Well, you know, you just really don't look at anything and you don't see the whirling. I don't know how to explain it. You just don't, I think they call it spot thinking, you know, it's called. And then spinning comes from, like I said, the arms going down, the legs going down. And you pull, you'll spin with that. And then practice, if you practice it enough.
She was so fast as a spinner, it was a blur. And one time she was doing that over at the Onyx and doing some other skating, and this boy came up to her and he said, "You skate pretty good for an old lady."
He wanted to know if I ever skated before. Because he said, "You skate very well for an old lady." He's about 17 years old.
Were your parents skaters?
No, they were skiers, and but never skated. Yeah. Yes.
How did you end up from New York to Michigan?
Oh, well, my skating teacher had a cabin at Lake Charlevoix. And when he would invite us to go to his cabin this summer. And then he's got a job coaching at MSU in the summer. So you usually went where your coach went, and that's where you skated in the summer. And that's how we landed up there, and that's how I got interested in going to MSU to go to college, too.
And you were kind of recruited, Duffy Doherty.
Oh, yes, that was during the Duffy Doherty, and I think Hank Hammer, Biggie Munn was then, and sports was very well thought of at MSU. Yeah, they actually wanted my sister to go there, but she went to NYU instead of going to MSU.
So you did not opt to go into professional skating?
No.
But what was that? Was that something that a lot of people that trained with you in Gremlins teams?
You know, in those days, a lot did go into ice shows, and they made a lot of money then.
Seeing ice shows.
Yeah, most of them that they'd done for years went into ice shows, and they did that. Now you don't have as many ice shows. It kind of burned itself out. I think they had too much skating on TV, and that's what burned it out, because you're competing with other sports, too. Okay, my sister did make a movie. She signed a contract with MGM, and she made Snow White and the Three Stooges, which you can get for about $2.98 online. And she really liked the Three Stooges. She said they were wonderful men. And that she had to wear a black wig because, of course, Snow White had black hair. But they wanted her to do a movie every year, but she didn't like really Hollywood. She was married at that time. She really wanted to have children, raise a family. She did meet Elvis Presley. There's a picture of him when Elvis was very young. I think he was 21. My sister was about 23 then. And when he was, you know, real slim and everything then. But she, if she hadn't her contract, I think that if she got pregnant, she could get out of the contract. And so that's what she did. She got out of the contract. Because they were trying to make her in the next Sonia Henney. Sonia Henney made a lot of movies, and that's what they wanted to make her in. But she didn't want to do that. She went into teaching. She taught for 25 years. She probably still would be teaching, except COVID came, and then she wasn't able to teach. And I knew it would be something major with her health or something like COVID, and then she quit teaching then.
Teach skating?
Yes, teach skating. She taught at the Cleveland Skating Club. Any other questions?
How did you make it?
Oh, I roomed with his sister for several years, and I was going home with her in southern Michigan to Walter, Michigan by Hudson. And then I met you through her, I think, because you were dating a girl for 5 years. I didn't break them up, though.
Well, when you have your mother and two sisters love her, I had a hard time skating.
Yeah, I had a wonderful mother-in-law. Yeah, I knew my sister-in-laws before they were my sister-in-laws, so it was great. And we got along. Any more questions?
Thank you. Okay, let me turn a second. All right, thank you. The beauty of a local history museum is that we get to look at how our local residents have changed the world. These are local residents. They live amongst us. So I'm just honored that you would share your story with us here. And I know a lot of people see them at the OPC. They're come to a lot of our programs too. And it's just it's an amazing story. And March is known as Women's History Month in the United States. And so it's a chance for us too in this month to really recognize some incredible talent that's out there, and both as a woman and as an athlete too. So it's a remarkable, unbelievable story, and I'm so glad. I think, Rad, you and I have been working on this program for years, because he kept saying, you got to hear my wife's story, and you kept saying, I don't do those kind of public, you don't do these, and I'm like, she just did it, and I thought it was a pretty good job. So let's give her a round of applause. Thanks, Nancy.